All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elise Hopfner. I'm a certified associate and project manager. What I really wanted to present is there are a lot of expectations of substance about my role in information technology. I either know it all or I don't know anything at all. So what I wanted to present is how I function and operate within a corporate organization to ensure that projects are driven and successful. And so what I do is I read between the code. So throughout my experience, I've had an opportunity to do different technical solutions. And so I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to do the amazing work my engineers and technical associates do. And so I wanted to show how that danger has applied to my humor. And so these are my proud moments in meetings that we presented during engagements. And the reason I wanted to share this is because I cannot stress it enough. IT is complex. And I wanted to share this is because we have associates even in this room that understand all of these jokes, some of them, or none of them at all, and you don't think I'm funny. But I have to read through this to make sure projects are successful. So how do I even start to do that in IT? When an organization has a business objective in a project, you have to be able to recognize what those true business requirements are and the limitations. This can be anything that's fiscal, operational, industry, government regulations, and it's very important to be able to understand what those thresholds are and be able to translate them. And you can say the similar thing on the technical side. And so there are also technical requirements within an engagement and limitations. How much can you automate? How much money do you have to spend on hardware? How much do you really want to utilize cloud and pay for that? And so where do I sit? I like to be right in the middle, and I have to wear my thinking cap throughout the entire time in order to transition the code between the input from business for the project and the input from the technical side. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into what does that really mean. I've worked in many industries throughout my career and my contracts, anywhere from lumber industry, healthcare, major airline, emergency restoration, and currently where I reside in cybersecurity. And what I've noticed through these organizations is they approach technology with similar terminologies. So things as install, migrate, update. And these are the key words that give me a stroke, especially this last one. How do we do it cheaper? So what does this all mean to me when I read this in a statement of work or a program charter? And how do I translate that to the project teams to make sure we're successful and level set expectations? Well, this is the best visual for all of the nitty-gritty and eliminating all the project terminology. It's really deciphering what are the needs of this objective and what are the wants. It sounds simpler than it is. And you can say the same thing for the technical requirements. And this goes back to what I said before. IT is complex. These are things executives, managerial operations don't necessarily see. They work and operate in the end result. So I, as a project manager, have to be able to understand to a certain capacity what all of these are in order to communicate with the engineers for tasks, milestones, phases, things of that nature. And I have to do it successfully because if I can't understand, even at a basic level, what that is, we're already going to fail in the engagement. Can you tell what I'm saying right there? Anybody? How are we supposed to finish this project? And this is what I deal day in, day out. In my current position in cybersecurity, we provide over 300 solutions and services to any industry across the world. So I have to be able to orchestrate that successfully. Anywhere from Palo Alto, Symantec, Infoblox, Bit9, Carbon Black, just so many different things. Those are the ones that burn hard memories in my mind. So what do I do with all of this? Once I gain the requirements, the limitations, what do I do with all this code between the business and information technology? This is a very good visual over here on how to keep the gears running within our project. And so the real beginning is the business objective. What are we going to do? And then I'm there to help organize who, where, what, when, why, through the technical solution. And so on top of the business code and the technical code, I add my own flavor, spice, and everything nice on top with project terminology, just to make sure everybody can keep up with me. And so these are the 10 most common terms or chapters that are used with the PMI in order to orchestrate a project. So things such as a communication charter, a receipt chart, a Gantt chart, in addition to what's already been provided to the project. So two things that I really want to show that really has success with actually being able to read between the code is two things that I've experienced in my career. When I was a project coordinator at a large lumber company, they had tons of mergers and acquisitions. And so what comes with that territory is everybody is doing their own thing, their own way, in their own system. And this project, internal engagement, was to get a central deposit tracker or repository to track cash flow coming in, instead of having 6 times of the workforce putting it into 6 different ERP systems. And so if I didn't take the time to read between that business aspect and the technical aspect, we would have failed day one. So in the business code and technical code table that I have up there, what is in gray was what was told to me, what was in the statement of work, what was presented to me. What was in white was the shocker, once I was able to translate what everybody was putting into the project. So for example, the 6 ERP systems, no central database between the systems, no relationships code built, nothing. I had nothing. Clean slate, still don't know how the house is gonna look. So what did I learn doing the business requirements gathering, the project planning, getting the input with technology as well? I learned we had no budget to procure any software, nothing. And so we had to build this internally. But what I also found through my technical peers is we had over 8 SQL engineers that could build it for us, available for resourcing. That was huge. So what were we able to do with that? So what we were able to implement after strenuous nights of coding and testing and pushing and pulling, we were able to build the deposit tracker. And so what did that mean for the accounting department? Well, that meant we had one system. We were able to balance that queue and that cash flow coming in same day. Something they couldn't do operationally with a department of 50 associates. IT helped build that, not the business. And so this also built an additional function for accounting to do end of month, end of week, end of day, end of quarter, end of anything you could think of balancing. And it made their lives easier. I've never chased so many pennies before in my life, before this engagement either. And so we were able to, instead of manually processing 6 ERP systems, only tens of thousands of dollars, to millions of dollars in a single day. That is what IT was able to accomplish. Another example is when I was an IT project manager at a major airline, won't be mentioned, I don't get benefits, so don't ask, no free flights, is they had an internal process to intake anything that wasn't a project. So onboarding a new associate, moving, buying any kind of software that required licensing, it was an all bucket list. And because of the proprietary application that they built and the processes that they had with the business, they said, we have to get this done faster. They had too many escalations for what was in their queue. It would take up to 100 days to get Visio on a device. It would take 45 days to onboard a new person. I bet that new associate was happy. Hey, I'm getting paid, I don't really have to work. So what did we have to do? Well, we had to take into consideration the multiple applications that they did use, and there were minimal enhancement tickets. We couldn't do any of that, and the business was driving, you have to make it faster and do that through IT. We couldn't do that. We lost historical documentation. We didn't have a disaster recovery session, so when it was gone, it was gone. It was a nightmare. So what were we able to do through this process improvement? We were able to cut the unnecessary steps to funnel the process, use templates, streamline tasks. So even though this was an IT project submitted with a business objective to enhance the technology, if I didn't take the time to read between the code from the business input and the IT input, I would have been driving everybody nuts with this no ability to do enhancements or version updates for years. We would never get anything done. And so sometimes it's not always leaned on IT, but IT can lead us to the path of success on an engagement. So what were we able to do? We were able to drive those IMAX from 100 days to 10 days. And that saved millions of dollars in manpower, in hardware, in penalties for not having the right licensing. And so then, executives were so impressed, they wanted it done in 3. So I exited from that engagement. So that's how I, as a project manager, really decipher between the code, between business and IT, to ensure that expectations are set, we can have a successful project plan, and really implement and push into production. Any non-technical questions?